Welcome to the Porsche Club Insider, your one stop for all things Porsche and PCA. Here's your host, Vu Nguyen, and the Insider crew.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 29. I'm here with Manny Albin, PCA's technical director, Damon Lowney, our digital media coordinators here, and of course, Robert Forsyth is always behind the scenes, making sure this all comes together. So, how's everyone's weekend?
Well, we're recording this on a Monday. We usually record on a Wednesday, so it seems pretty. Usually, we have some time to reflect over the weekend, but we didn't have that today because you're leaving for Germany tomorrow.
I am going to be heading to Stuttgart to meet with Porsche and bringing along 2 executive council members for a tour, and we've got some meetings, some exciting projects coming forward. But I think I'm going to be able to call in for the next podcast while I'm over there. So hopefully I'll have some exciting things to share with you.
Well, not just Damon and I, then
the
real secrets will get out.
The real secrets. Someone's got to supervise
the unfiltered edition.
No. I can't afford to let that happen. So let's talk Works Reunion tickets. So by the time
Rennsport Reunion tickets.
What did I say?
Works.
Oh, Works. Yeah, I said Works. Man, it's
we just unpacked the Works Reunion.
We did. That's why Works Reunion's on our mind, is because we unloaded the pods, all the stuff that we do for the event comes back, and then we also got sports.
Bad idea to stick sodas in a cooler. I don't know what altitude the truck hit.
I don't know. How did they pop?
It's the weirdest thing. That the liquid was gone, but it hadn't been opened yet. Yeah, I thought it was mold inside, and what it was dried syrup from the sodas leaking or exploding or whatever happened inside the cooler.
So we have a pod worth of equipment and merchandise and stuff that comes back from the event, and we needed to move things around and get things kind of back into the shelves. But after we finished unloading the pod, the pallets from Sports Car Together showed up. So
like the guy was hanging around the corner waiting for us to finish.
I know, and that required forklift usage.
Yes, because of the our remote control car track that they had built for us.
So thank you to Porsche Cars North America. The RC track that they built at Indy ended up coming home with us at PCA, and hopefully you'll see it at Porsche Parade next year.
Could probably be called the mini demolition derby track.
It is tough. It is tough on RC cars, but hopefully we'll be able to rearrange a track so that it doesn't cross over. Right now it's a figure 8, and it crosses over onto itself. And yes, it is a demolition.
I got a feeling Zarnowski's probably telling Kathy Lee, I don't know what you did to talk him into taking this, but thank God they did.
All you have to do is ask Vu.
Was it a 10-foot pallet it was on?
It was a 10-foot pallet. It was, and it's built really, really well.
Yeah.
All right, so that's why I had Works Reunion on my mind, but the announcement is Rennsport Reunion,
and they will already been on sale by the time this podcast comes out.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, usually we try to get this information in time for the podcast, but things move so quickly sometimes with Porsche. And actually, after we recorded the last podcast is when we had some calls with Porsche about this and the release date when it was going to go on sale. So if you listen to this and you haven't purchased your Corral tickets, I think General Admission will be, I don't think they'll sell out of that. It would take a lot to sell out of General Admission tickets, but the Corral tickets will sell out.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the what I call VIP or the hospitality tickets, they tend to be limited and sell out as well.
So how many slots do you think they'll have for Corrals? Like 1,500?
We had a little under 1,500 last time, but we heard in our phone calls, our meetings, that there's a lot of groups that want space, that want the display,
mm-hmm.
and they're trying to fulfill that work with the different groups and within Porsche, the groups.
Right.
Like Porsche Classic, for example, is going to be taking some space from one of our corrals, and they're moving that corral to another place on the track. But what I liked was they looked at an aerial map, I think on Saturday when it was the busiest, and they saw how much empty space there was and where there was places to put cars. So it's good to hear that they're going to try to squeeze as many cars as possible.
Maximize every single square inch of the place.
Yeah. So like I've said before, if you want correct, accurate, and I guess the latest on Rennsport Reunion.
Tune in here.
It's our podcast because
tune in here.
we're the only ones in the meetings that I hear that it's Porsche, their agencies, and us in the meetings for the planning.
Yeah, we're going to
Rennsport.
get it to you as soon as we can. Like Manny said, this one here in terms of the ticket sales, officially it opens September 28th to the general masses,
Yep.
but
Because of if you're a PCA member, one of the benefits is that you have access to buying tickets and, more importantly, corral tickets before they go for sale to the public. And in fact, I just saw my laptop pop up. There's a flurry of emails going back and forth because obviously they're not going to just take your word for it that you're a PCA member. They want to verify that you're a current PCA member. So they will. They're figuring out right now how to hook up to our database without revealing all our members' info, just to verify whether or not the name you put in there is active and current and legitimate.
so that's just another demonstration of what's, the relationship we have with Porsche Cars North America, Porsche AG, and it just builds upon the conversation we had. When did we do the Classic Club Coupe reveal here at the office? It was on Thursday.
Yep.
So again, the whole thing of what we share with Porsche is quite amazing. Not all car manufacturers embrace the clubs like Porsche does, and for them to have us at the table, and talking about setting up an event or creating special cars, to me, it's pretty amazing.
And by the time you hear this, it'll still be closed to the general public. So if you're a member and you're listening to this Monday, whatever day that would be, let's see,
26th.
Monday the 26th, you
Oh,
still
so-
have a few days left.
Few days left to get in.
Yeah, it's even just get the general tickets, get it over with. Don't wait till the last minute, because you would hate to find out that, like Lufthansa, this thing is sold out, and you thought it'd be a ton of tickets, and suddenly they've limited. Disney World is having that problem. They're just, you can't get into Disney World because they're selling out. They only allow a certain amount of people in. So Laguna's big, but this is going to be a huge event. It's going to be the 75th anniversary of Porsche, 60 years of the 911, and I've heard other anniversaries. So, like I said, there's a lot of groups within Porsche that want real estate. They want to be able to display stuff. So this is a place to be.
So to some of us, it sounds not silly. Silly's not the right word, but to be buying tickets for something, that's a year out. But then I thought more about it over the past couple of days with like concert tickets and stuff like that.
We waited 3 years to see Rage.
We waited 3 years to see Rage Against the Machine, and this is going to be huge. There's going to be so many celebrations, and probably the next thing that you're going to want to think about is your accommodations and where you're going to stay, because that's going to be tough, because I think the facilities that allow you to reserve a year out, those are probably already gone, right? So now you got to wait on the different facilities that will open up room availability 6 months out or 3 months out. But stay on it, because you might have to find some creative ways to find some housing.
And I will say, for those who are lucky enough to live close enough or planning to bring a car to Rennsport, when you buy corral tickets, if they're sold out of your model, you can't buy another model's corral tickets and expect just to roll into your model, and no one will say anything. So this happened the last time.
Oh,
So
I see what you're saying.
The 911 corral sold out, so people are buying Cayenne and Macan corral tickets.
And show up in their 911.
And so, well, I'll just show up my 911, they'll let me in.
Doesn't work that way.
Doesn't work that way. Yeah, they'll have specific model corral hang tags, and a lot of times you won't even be able to go down the road, because they'll look at the color of the hang tag and say you're not part of this. So
can we share with them about parade laps?
Yeah, it's we're going to be managing parade laps again.
Another cool thing.
Yes, and it was great to hear from Porsche that obviously track time is pure gold right now. It's at a premium.
Every second of track time is accounted
They
for.
got to be done by a certain time, because there's people who live around the track. So as they say, the loud cars have to be able to track by a certain time. And but I loved hearing in the meeting that whatever happens, they can't take away time from PCA and their parade laps.
Yeah.
So when the parade laps do go on sale, once again, it'll be to PCA members first. Take advantage if you haven't If you've never driven Laguna, if you have and you're bringing your car, let a friend take a lap. I know I was talking to people at Cars and Coffee this past Saturday who are going out there, and they were asking, could you drive your friend's Porsche on the parade laps? I said, absolutely, as long as you have a parade lap ticket. But that will also be another hot ticket to be on the track.
And there's more, because we might want to share with our club race folks.
Yeah, the once again, like we have in the past 2 years at Laguna, we will have a race group. Still a lot of details to be worked out, but PCA will have another race group. I can't remember if it was 50 or 60 cars last time, maybe in between, but we'll be represented. And what I like about it is that I think that we really show the part of Porsche that really helped Porsche become what it is in the United States, and that was amateur road racing. And back then it was SCCA, but now with PCA Club Racing, people buy cars and go racing. So keep tuned for that. It'll 50 or 60 lucky racers will be able to race the Rennsport Reunion.
Yeah.
Which is really wild because you have an audience. You have a big crowd.
Big crowd.
And I've only raced in front of a crowd a few times, and I got to say it's pretty distracting. If you're not used to it, because you're used to doing it like in a driver's ed where the only people you see are the corner workers.
Right.
So suddenly you're looking and there's a lot of eyeballs on you at every corner, in between corners, and it's a little disconcerting at first, but it's got to be ultra cool to be able to race at Rennsport.
Yeah, and as we're on all these Zoom calls and we're listening to the different departments report in and all the things that they have planned for Rennsport, it's just it's super exciting, and a year's going to go by quick because I know we have to have a lot of things in place before we get there, and a year is going to go by really quick.
And it's great seeing Porsche, so far ahead of the game right now.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Rennsport 5, I think it was 6 months prior they started planning the event, and then it was like everything was rush.
Remember
rush.
when they announced one date and then they had to slide the date?
I think that was Rennsport 5.
Was that 5?
Yeah, that's when they realized that the 919 was going to be in Japan for Fuji and not in the U.S. for Rennsport, so they had to retract, and boy, there was some.
That was not pretty.
You got a lot of hate calls here at the office.
Absolutely, I'm like, we didn't do it.
And they all thought PCA. PCA is not a PCA event. It's a Porsche event. We helped them out. We obviously provide an army of volunteers. We take care of the corral parking. We have our own island with our hospitality tent and whatnot. But ultimately, it's Porsche's event.
Yeah. Well, speaking of volunteers, that is a great way to have an amazing experience at Rennsport. So pay attention when they do a call out for PCA volunteers for Rennsport. You get some pretty cool access, some neat swag.
You get a unique shirt that's not sold. And I say it's unique because every Rennsport I've had volunteers tell me that spectators were trying to buy their shirts off their backs.
Absolutely.
Because they saw how cool the shirt was, and once they're told
I did see a few of them on eBay afterwards.
Yeah,
I'm not going to lie. Yeah. All right, so let's rewind a little bit. We talked about the Classic Club Coupe viewing at the office, but even before that, we had Tech Tactics Live, where we did a deep dive with the Classic Club Coupe, and something new to the presentation was the fact that we put it up on the lift and took a look underneath, and oh my goodness. Let's just start with getting the car on the lift. Like, I can't tell you.
I wish we would have had Damon there to record us.
No, I'm glad he wasn't there because, I've used this lift, hundreds of times.
Actually, Damon was there, but I think you were helping us. That's why you weren't recording.
Well, when you were putting it up, I was actually over with my girlfriend at a Miata show down the street.
You were helping us get it off.
My bad. Yeah, I helped you get it off.
Yeah. So, placing the ramps and not the ramps, but the arms, making sure we have the right pucks underneath.
Yeah. The car's too low just to go onto the lift.
Right.
So, it's
and
even a piece of 2x4 wasn't cutting it.
No. But we did it safely, and we didn't touch the car at all except for the 4 mounting pucks, and got it up there. And man, what a treat it was to see the car from underneath, because it is amazing, the detail. I've never seen that fresh of an engine, a GT3 motor. So I was brewing all the suspension pieces, and you can tell the car was really only driven to parking spots. Maybe it was on track, but it must have been on a dry track because everything was spotless underneath.
Yeah, and what was really cool for, I think of Peter Smith, our resident Goldmeister tech, there's no Cosmoline.
Yeah.
You lose these. It'll tell you that's a quick way to spot a replacement engine in the U.S. If there's cosmoline, that means it's original. If there isn't, then more likely it was a replacement engine. But this one, because it didn't get shipped over in a boat, at least the second time around, it was no cosmoline, so it was super clean, almost like it was detailed for a Concours or something.
It looks like they did a dry ice because everything was clean, perfect, beautiful. But that show, interestingly enough, the show was not like that heavily attended. I don't know if because we've talked about the car parade, or we've talked about it so much that people didn't think that they would learn something new. But after the show was released on YouTube, it kind of took its normal course of traction, and now we have it archived on all the little details of.
It's a pretty good reviews. We really did do a deep dive. We were looking at every single detail that Porsche did, and it was, like you said, the first time that any of us got to see underneath the car.
Yeah. And you know what? I got some feedback from some buddies at the car show, and they of course they liked everything about the Club Coupe and the details of that, but they really enjoyed the history of how we got to that point with the the 50th anniversary, the 73T, and the 60th. They had no idea that all of that happened, because we have some there's some turnover in the club where 5 years, anything that happened 5 years ago, like there's a lot of members that don't know what happened in PCA 5 years ago, and that includes these three cars that we had an amazing product at the end, so they got to hear it for the first time, I guess.
Yeah, it was once again, it illustrates why it's important for PCA executives to go to Germany. In a world of Zoom calls and conference calls and emails, you think it's not necessary to be in person, but nothing beats in person. And like you said, the connections you make with people that aren't really high up today, but they will be in 10, 15 years, and they'll remember meeting PCA and discussing ideas for future projects.
I can say for a fact the meetings that we will have next week will end up in projects down the road that I'll be able to share with you all. It's gonna be pretty cool.
You can share it when call in next Tuesday.
So after Tech Tactics Live on Wednesday, we set the car up outside again of PCA National Headquarters, because there's a few people that didn't get to come on Saturday for the open house, and since we had the car, I know the staff is probably just tired of me like hosting event after event here at HQ, but we invited folks to come take a look at the car, and it was just about the car, about 2 hours of time, and we had about 50, 60 people, and surprisingly enough, I would say 80% of them were new members that have never done anything with PCA, and they felt like this was like a small little step forward into them getting active in the club, which is cool.
This is why I always tell regions, if you can have events at the dealers, do it, because for a lot of new members, I think the worst place you can have an event is at a person's house, because for a new member, they're going to be very anxious probably about going to somebody's house.
Yeah.
But if a dealer, usually that's where they bought their car, they get it serviced. So, I guess they figure, hey, if I don't like anybody at the Porsche Club, I can look around the dealer and go home. So here at PCA, I think they came also because it was the headquarters, and they seemed to have a good time. It was much more relaxed than the open house since there wasn't as many people. And did you know about the car cover? Because you looked surprised when you opened up and pulled the car cover out.
Well, I was surprised that the car cover was a custom car cover.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, no, yeah. I thought the car cover was just going to be your standard silver, Porsche cover with the Porsche crest on the hood, and I'm like, oh, there's stripes on it, just like the car.
That to me, like I told someone, I'm like, this is how much Porsche gets into this project. So they could have easily just pulled a car cover from their catalog and thrown it in, but instead they had a custom one built that even had the a word Classic Club Coupe written on the side, exactly where it is on the paint. Mm-hmm. So on the cover, it was.
It's obviously perfectly fitted, and the colors is. You know how some like this is like a very soft, stretchy material, but it's printed in the fabric itself. It's not like an overlay.
No, it's not like like silk screen. I think it's a different process where I ran my hands over it and it was all in the fabric.
Yeah,
it wasn't
it's very high
iron on transfer or anything. Yeah, it was very cool from Porsche to do that.
And I can't remember. Did we go for a 1 mile drive like that day too on Thursday?
No, Monday we went for it.
Yeah, it was one of those days.
Oh my gosh.
I had
I'm
to
all
look at it.
by.
I know. It seemed like forever. Like somebody told me one time, because you guys never are short of things to talk about every week.
Yeah.
And I said, at the beginning of the week, you think it's going to be slow. And then by the time the podcast comes, you realize you've done a lot. Monday, that's when Mia came.
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She came on Monday?
Yeah.
So no, it was Wednesday. We originally
See?
it was Wednesday. So we originally scheduled Monday, but it couldn't work out because you guys were on a Rennsport
and it was
call.
raining. And it was raining.
And it was going to rain, so we did it on Wednesday.
Oh, that's right.
See?
Yeah.
Wednesday.
I told you. Your mind's
Well,
going
it's
too.
the same week. At least you weren't even sure it was the same week.
Yeah, it was a very cool car. Safari 911, Safari build that
Yeah.
Vu got to drive.
Yes, I
Robert has it on the
did. It was
screen.
my idea because I saw that car at Parade. I'm like, man, that looks like a fun car to drive. And I've always been curious, like, how does a lifted, not so sticky tired 911 feel on the street? Like, is it fun? Because it seems like almost opposite of everything that I do to my car. Like, I got wider, stickier tires. I made it lower, and so anyways, so when I saw that car at Porsche Parade, and Brian and Mia, they are like on track people. They're drivers. They're not so much Concours folks, but the car had just recently been put together, so it was the perfect time for them to put it in the Concours at Parade. I think they took like third or fourth in class or
They
something.
said they entered the completely wrong class. They entered restoration.
Oh,
So
really?
restoration rewards originality and authenticity, and of course, there was nothing at all original about this car.
But they're such fun people. They just did it for fun, and the not to give it all away, but the build or the idea behind that rally 911 was because Mia originally is actually very much an off-roader, and then it wasn't until later she got into Porsches, and Brian and decided that maybe we should build one of these because it kind of melds both of her passions together. She's a club racer and he's a club racer, and her off-road background. So anyways, so that idea of the car was at Parade, and I'm like, man, one day, and the lot that we started doing the 1 mile reviews has a lot of gravel. So I was like, man, this would be a perfect car for that particular location. Now we have another location we do that doesn't have gravel. So anyway, she brings it out, and honestly, I didn't know what motor was in. I didn't know that it was such a hot rod. I just thought it was.
Did I.
I thought it was just all suspension work. So
I didn't realize it was a Weissach either.
yeah, it's a Weissach edition. All the torsion bar suspension has been kind of tossed into the bin, and it has all coilover from Elephant Racing, I believe, and coilovers. The tires, I didn't know Hoosier made like rally. I guess I should know.
Yeah, no rally tires,
But legit rally tires on Fuchs wheels, and the creme de la creme is the motor in it. It's a 993 3.6, probably massaged a little bit. And
call it an even 300 horsepower in that.
even 300,
Yeah.
probably more than that. So,
Yeah.
so I'm probably giving up too much, but it's such an awesome car. I kind of have to talk about it. So it's a curvy road back there. You start off in gravel. It's a 915 transmission, which I haven't driven a 915 car in a while, but I've always been told that a properly sorted 915 transmission is a good, awesome transmission. I have a G50 transmission, so in my 87, shifting a car is not really an issue. It just feels like a modern day car. So I've never really spent a whole lot of time in the 915. This one had a Wevo shifter in it, probably a shortish type shifter, and it shifted just fine. It was perfect. I mean, it was really fun to drive. And now I feel as though if I drive my car today, it's going to feel like a slug, because that 3.6, oh my gosh, it revs so quickly. And that thing's probably, 2,900 pounds?
Right.
If
No.
that?
If that,
If
it's
that.
probably a lot
Car?
less.
Yeah, how much is that car?
I think it's
2,700 or so.
27. It felt like it, because
We
it
looked this up.
911 SC is not 2,400 pounds.
It's not
We looked
24.
it up. We looked it up.
I think it's like 28, 29. You guys look it up while I
Who's going to
talking
get there
about it.
first?
So immediately, and it's geared.
2756.
What did I just say?
Yeah.
What did I say earlier? 27?
Yeah, I think we both said
Did
about
it?
27.
I think we did. And what is it?
I
27?
thought you meant with you inside of it.
No fat shaming. Although you're
24 to
absolutely
27.
correct.
Let's do the no.
Stop it. Stop
Anyway,
it.
it's lighter than your cabriolet.
It is lighter than my cabriolet. It has 100 more horsepower than my cabriolet, and man, it does scoot and it sounds good. I don't know what kind of exhaust it had on it. Sound good. It's body roll was firm. It was a firm ride, but because the tires are skinnier and it just had less grip, like it felt like the steering wheel was way light, like really light, really playful, and it just goes like stink. And yeah, very cool. And my little Dukes of Hazzard movement at the end was kind of
It
fun.
made
to
up
do.
for the first time you tried doing it.
What do you mean?
The first time you came
When I
out.
first locked up, kind of lame.
Well,
Yes.
the first time was okay, but I remember you asked, "Hey Mia, can I spin the tires in the gravel on the way out?"
Yeah.
And then you did, and it was kind of like
You spun it one time
and then it
and
stopped, and it
stopped.
looked like you jumped the clutch or something.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't want to abuse the car.
You got to spin the tires. You got to like.
No, because
Boom.
yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, I feel bad like abusing someone else's car. So
Yeah.
So hopefully I don't know. Did you see any of the footage, or did the
Yeah,
footage
so
seem good when you?
the second time you came in and did sort of the just lock the wheels up and slid to
turn
a
the wheel.
stop was it looked pretty sweet, and I
Yeah.
got a good shot of it,
Yeah.
and it looked better than the first time. So.
Okay, awesome. So, anyways, that'll be coming soon. Thank you to Brian, Mia, for sharing your car with us. And people ask all the time, like, how can I get my car, or how do you make the decision of 1 mile reviews? You want to share that little secret?
Really, just contact us and
Yeah, that's the secret.
That's it.
Just let
That's,
us know.
yeah,
Let us know if you'd like us to drive your car.
majority
Exactly.
we do local. We try to, when we go on trips, to do a few if we
Yeah.
have the time to coordinate. Like we're going to be doing a video in Chicago, so we're going to do at least two 1 mile reviews. That's pretty much it. It's, I would love to go around the country doing nothing but 1 mile reviews.
Can I make someone's day? You know, our local buddy Paul Gentili. So he's always like, "You're just doing 1 mile reviews because you want to drive everybody's car. That's the only reason why you're doing it."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Hello. But it takes a lot of work. It takes us like 2.5 hours to do one car because, I mean, you got to get the shots. You make sure you don't get in trouble where you're driving. You got to pick the right location. You got to go weather. But hopefully, folks are enjoying it. I think it's gathering traction, and Damon's. You know, what it really helps with is obviously our ability to continue to have content on YouTube and trying to get us to that 100,000 subscriber mark, and it gives Damon an easy way to source some content. You know, we have some fully produced content pieces, but these are, you know, for video to be able to knock something out in 2.5 hours for him, you know, just builds that inventory so that we always have something to share with you all.
And hopefully, my dream is to have enough cars, or when a potential member calls up asking about a certain model, I can pull up and say, "Here, look at this. We did a 1 mile review on this car that you're actually looking for," and you can see what the person thought of it, and just to have an eventual library. But we're still a long way from.
Can I share
having a
with
lot
you
of
how that
cars.
happened today? This morning, while we were in a meeting, I get a call from my aunt who bought Robert Vigorito's Cayenne from back in the day. And she's like, I think my battery's bad. And I hear it's really tough to change the battery in a Cayenne. I said, Auntie, go to PCA's YouTube channel and look up the Cayenne battery replacement. And there you go. It's like, I'm like done with my discussion with my auntie. Now she can just go watch and figure out the tools, and she and my uncle can figure out how to change the battery.
Yeah.
So that's the whole idea. Is like we're just building all this content for future use, and it's a lot easier than trying to walk a person through a Cayenne battery change every time someone calls. You just have this content up there.
Yeah, and with the 1 mile reviews, I think there's one more benefit that we're doing this, and that is you do see content that comes directly from that video. But before 1 mile reviews, we didn't have a ton of chances to drive all the various different types of Porsches, models, special editions with different mods before 1 mile reviews. But now that we have, we're starting to build some context and can compare, what's a 911 like with the Wevo shifter,
Right.
with the rebuilt 915 versus one that maybe, I remember the wine red 911 I drove for a story several years ago. The 915 wasn't all that great, so it's important, to have context and be able to write about them or pull from that knowledge base in the future.
Yeah, it's definitely given me appreciation for all the different models that we've been able to experience. We're talking about trips. We did a little bit of a field trip on Friday.
Went to Summit Point Raceway in West Virginia because Potomac Region was hosting their annual club race. And for a lot of people in our office, it was the first time ever going to a racetrack.
Those of you that are watching on YouTube, this is the exact reason why I keep my 2008 Honda Odyssey for events such as this. We just packed in and rolled down the road.
Could have done the same thing in my Suburban.
I know, but I don't own a Suburban.
That was fun. We all, most of us carpool. Actually, Jim wasn't in the carpool. No, he was.
He was,
Not Jim.
he was.
It was Anthony and Damon went together, and Damon's came in. But yeah, it was pretty. I had been in a couple of years, I guess. Actually, on the main track, I've gone to the autocross, which is the parking lot next to the track, within the track.
So the
I
Potomac
must have
region.
gotten asked like 20 times.
I was going to just ask you right now.
Do you miss it?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you
I was going to
miss
ask
it?
you
Yeah.
right there.
And actually, I gave Robert a picture of proof that I used to race. That's at Watkins Glen, the Wonder Bread car. And the Wonder Bread car was at the track, no longer with the polka dots. I took the polka dots off when I sold the car to Terrence, but it's great to see that Terrence
Still looking
is
good.
Still driving.
it
He
is.
actually painted the bumpers Club Blau. They used to be a Miata blue, Mariner blue, but he painted them Club Blau, so it was great to see the old flame again.
I have to ask though, is that car? I mean, it's been in the club racing world for some time now. Is it a competitive car still?
Well, I see him getting podiums.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's H class. The classes when I used to race H, there was like 20 some cars in H. I don't think that's the case anymore. So if I finished 10th, I was like winning.
Yeah.
If you could finish in the top half of your class back then. But club racing's really finding someone to race with, because nothing worse than being so far ahead of the guy that they can't catch you, or being
Right.
so far the guy in front of you being so far ahead you can't catch them, and then it becomes just lapping, and
Yeah.
that was always boring to me.
The battle is where the fun's at.
Yep.
So there we are with a group photo. Those of you that are watching on YouTube, there was a photo earlier that every time I go to a club race and I kind of chuckle because maybe you can explain to the listeners, there are a lot of vintage club racing cars with my name on it.
Yeah.
VU.
Anthony said, "Why does all these cars have Vu's name on the back?"
So that one's VO,
Yeah.
the 993, but there's a lot of them that
believe
are-
it stands
There
Vintage
you go.
class.
under 3 liters or under 2 liters or over 2 or 3 liters. It has to do with engine size.
Well,
Oh,
that's
was
on
it?
an
I thought it was
F14.
Vintage Unlimited, so it's Vintage Under then. Is that
I'm
what it is?
pretty sure that's what it is.
Oh, maybe. Basically, it's the class designation.
It's
Yeah,
a
so
Class A.
really fast cars.
No,
versus
but you're right
cars not
because
quite as
VO
fast.
is probably V over and
over.
VU is
I'm
V
pretty
under.
sure that's what it is, but I don't know the displacement where that cutoff is. But I
Okay.
think it's 3 liters.
So
Okay.
PCA has a vintage class, which I would love to see get even bigger because
all your old buddies were saying Manny should go into vintage.
Manny
Yeah.
needs to get a car. But yeah, so
You have one.
basically-
You have a 964.
It belongs to somebody else now. It's basically, when club racing was in its glory days, a lot of these cars are still parked in people's garages. They're just not competitive with the Caymans and the Boxsters and the 997s of the world. So the new vintage class they started a few years back gives them a place to run and run back the way you used to with cars that were similar to these cars in the class without having to make a whole lot of modifications. That's
Right.
one of the reasons why I sold my car was because I realized how much I would have to dump into it to be able to, run with Caymans.
Yeah.
You can't beat technology. And
Yeah, I believe the vintage is also, or PCA's vintage classes. There's an understanding that if there is any bumping and rubbing in PCA club racing, it'll happen a lot less in the vintage class.
that was the whole concept of club racing as a whole.
Gotcha.
Was that it was supposed to be when Alan Freeman started club racing for PCA, he basically took the rule book from vintage, with the same mindset that hey, these cars are valuable, they're old, we're not going to wreck them, and competition being competition, some people take it more seriously than others, and higher the classes. Sometimes the faster the cars, people forget that it's for fun. I can say luckily that I did 90 some races and I had less than $1,000 worth of body damage. And they
That's
were
amazing.
mainly love taps on rear lights or something, not anything where certainly that would have taken me out of racing.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Alan Friedman. He's the father of club racing.
He's considered the father of club racing. He's the one who made the proposal to the executive council. He started club racing with the chairman for quite a few years in the beginning, and he still races.
I was about to say, and I think you said he was out on track this weekend.
Yeah, I ran into him in the paddock when we were there Friday, and he was taking a gas jug over to the pump to fill up his car with gas. So.
I hadn't been to Summit Point in a while, and I saw that they have like a fueling station now. It's like
somebody said they did it last year, earlier this year. They're slowly getting more modern. The cool thing about Summit Point, though, is it looks like a very I'm going to say homely, but rustic track.
That's a cute word.
But that's where they train the government agencies, because there's a couple entrances in the summit. One of the entrances has like bars that go down from you just can't drive in, and that's I believe the government training part of it.
Yeah.
So it's
and that's where you go. I guess if you're in the government, you need to learn how to drive and shoot at the same time, or back up at like 90 miles an hour and do sort of evasive maneuvers.
They used to do nighttime. At least when I was racing, they would do nighttime training.
And you can hear them shooting at cars.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, there's a gun range at the Shenandoah circuit right inside of it.
Yeah.
So when you're instructing, it's really disconcerting. It's like you're instructing in Baltimore City. you can hear gunshots going on.
That's not funny. We shouldn't be laughing at that. All right, so we also had Trefen Bend happen this past weekend, and
I should have told Robert to look at Melanie's Facebook page. All right, here we go.
Look at that.
Look at this. Robert is the best.
So it was off to, I would say, a little bit of a shaky start, is because of the wildfires and such that they have over there. But they changed some routes, and PCA members are always looking to go and have a good time, and I think that most everyone showed up as planned, and I hear the drives were fantastic. I saw some of the footage of the lakes and the tours that they drove on, and just look at some of this hardware that people brought. It's beautiful cars, 993s, lots of water cooled cars, and that's kind of interesting too. Like, I think if you go on these long weekend tours, there's rarely an air-cooled car now. People are in their water-cooled cars.
Just you see the Hyundai there, and
in the back.
I believe you can still show up to Trefen in a rental car. They'll ask you to be in the back of the caravan, but
not that you're lesser of a person. No. It's just so that when we do photos and stuff, we don't have like a Hyundai in the middle of it.
For those real quick who don't know, Trefen is I was going to say adult weekend, but it's a couples weekend.
Drive, dine, and explore.
Yeah, pretty much. It's 3 days.
4 days.
Thursday is the welcome party, I think.
Yeah.
And then Friday, Saturday, Thursday,
Wednesday
Friday,
people
Saturday.
show up, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah, so 3 days of driving.
Yep.
You have a bunch of different tours you can select. They have an NDO, which is Navigator's Day Off on one of the days, and you can just go exploring.
It's a fun, relaxing. If you like good food, you like a beautiful, almost bucket list type of hotels to stay out, and if you like touring, driving beautiful roads, no competition, zero competition. And it's a recipe that a lot of our members like. We probably get more than 50% of repeat Trefen goers, and then you get new ones that are within a certain radius of whichever Trefen it is. And there's a reason why it sells out. One is very limited in numbers. We try to keep it to a small manageable group, more of an intimate group, and it's very cool.
Yeah, so the next one is in Atlanta
in
the spring. And then they announced that this one that they're going to
where's the
out
next
west.
I don't know where the next one is.
You were supposed to in Q know where we're supposed to be going with the next one.
While you look it up, we'll be back on
here.
that. But yeah, here's again, those of you that are watching on YouTube, there's all sorts of food pictures and beautiful weather and people sitting out and enjoying. And of course, Princess Cruise Line was back, and they gave away a number of cruises for the attendees. And every event they've joined us as a sponsor. They've brought the Taycan that they'll be raffling off at the end of the year. So hopefully one of you that have been on the cruise or at least registered for the Taycan raffle, hopefully you get to take home that car. That'd be pretty cool. While he's looking up the next Trefen,
St. Louis.
St. Louis
At the Ritz-Carlton.
Yeah, Ritz-Carlton. Oh,
Yeah.
that's gonna be nice. I mean, obviously Ritz-Carlton.
Yes,
It can be
I've
fancy.
stayed there a couple times, and it's very posh.
Pretty nice hotel.
That one or at a Ritz-Carlton?
No, I had a Ritz-Carlton.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
sure this isn't like the trashy Ritz-Carlton.
I don't think there is a trashy Ritz-Carlton.
That's what I mean.
I remember there was the Ritz Hotel in Los Angeles that I stayed at, and it was
It's called the Ritz.
It
but
was
not
called the Ritz, but not the quite. And it was this trash. They actually either demolished it or it's no longer there. So
car stuff this weekend. Anyone?
Cars and Coffee at Hunt Valley.
Hunt Valley.
There was about 45 Porsches probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was as usual at the Hunt Valley. So even with your Mikey and Mel's going on at the same time, it
There's
shows
so
how
many
many
cars.
enthusiasts are in the area that both of them can be well attended. And
Yeah, I know. It's like good weather, lots of cars. I think we're showing video here of the cars at Mike and Mel's. I mean, we had a Senna, GT2 RS, McLarens, Ferraris. I mean, just all sorts of. And you had a run of the mix too. It wasn't all high end cars. We had the funny thing is that a guy came out with a slew of racing mowers.
I saw a picture of it. Yeah.
Racing mowers.
I thought it was a Hartford County thing where I live, not down in Howard County.
Racing mowers. And Ron Gordon, he was in here today, and he's talking about they're doing tractor pulls.
That's different.
Tractor pulls tonight
it's
in
always
Frederick.
fun to watch.
Yeah, riding lawnmower is a hoot to watch.
Honestly, I'm down for trying lawnmower racing. I'm like, that sounds like fun.
They wear full driving suits,
I think
helmet.
you need to. It's probably dangerous.
Obviously, the mower deck is removed,
Let's hope so.
but they have different classes, just
Yeah.
like real racing, and I'm sure there's cheating, just like real racing. Where I went to watch them, they
So
had
should we look
females.
into this? Should we
They are serious. I mean, I saw one in England.
Yeah.
The first time I saw it, back when there was Speed Vision, so it was over 20 years ago, they did a 24-hour riding lawnmower race, and they did a Le Mans start, which is nothing funnier than watching like 120
Top over the back.
probably overweight guys getting running across the track to the riding mowers, jumping on, and off they went. And
I think it would be silly fun.
Yeah.
So if anyone's listening that has done mower racing, let us know what it's like. Is it something that we should try to get a hot lap in? Or
yeah,
two?
these guys are legit. It's
Yeah.
not you just. I mean, these.
His trailer was legit. It was like
Yeah, no,
fully
I mean,
set up.
No, it's a whole setup. Yeah, they
Yeah.
set up cars as far as
Yeah.
alignment, and it's no
But
joke.
instead of going the karting route, they decided to go the John Deere route.
It's a lot more fun to watch in karting
Yeah,
because you're
it's
watching riding
comical.
lawnmowers,
Yeah.
and in your head the whole time you're thinking, "I can do this."
That's
I
exactly.
think
That's
you
what
watch
exactly.
them and they're like precise. They are driving the wheels off those things. So
Because you don't have a riding
Man.
lawnmower, right?
I had
Somewhere
one.
in your garage, you have one stuff.
I had
away?
one, but I sold it because it was getting in the way.
doing that lawnmower
Really?
stuff,
Yeah.
it's probably tougher than karting. You know, when it comes to holding your body up.
Oh, yeah,
They
'cause
don't
you're
probably don't
higher
have
up.
the bucket seats
Yeah,
or
no.
anything, right?
Yeah, you're going to make the turn. The lawnmower is going to make it, but you won't.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man.
Yeah.
What else they do? Oh, our buddy Peter ran into some. I think he ran into some furniture on the highway with his Audi. So he was
Wait,
all
the same guy who was concerned that somebody was standing too close to his GT2 RS.
yes,
At the open house.
Yes, that's Peter. My poor friend Peter. He he was coming home from work or something like that, and not luckily, but he was in his Audi S4 and lawn furniture or house furniture or something took out the front bumper, but what made it worse was it must have like taken out a coolant line or something.
Yeah.
So anyways, he
Wow.
was all in like all sad, like really like, and I'm like,
Ready to sell the car.
yeah,
You
I should
bought
sell
it
the
like
car.
$100.
Yeah, I should just sell it. And I'm like, don't worry about it. We'll get it to it. And so he said, can we use the aluminum trailer that you have access to? I'm like, well, sure, but that thing hasn't moved in like before COVID. So there's photos of it there, and we pumped up the tires, hooked it up. He has a what's a Cadillac SUV, the big one.
Escalade.
He has an Escalade. Yeah, he has an Escalade, and I was very impressed. The aluminum, was it Tralex? These Tralex trailers are like, they're built solid. and wheeled it up there and took it over to our buddies over at Europros, and they'll get them all fixed up. And it's funny with Peter. I'm like, Peter, you got like 3 other cars to drive. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, but
And at least it was the Audi and not one of his others.
Exactly.
So.
I'm like,
And that's
look,
why you have a daily driver, right?
yeah. Well, that is his daily driver.
Exactly.
But he
So
he has other options, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So he'll get all fixed up. But I hadn't trailered for a while, and he didn't even want to drive. He was like, oh, you can drive my Escalade. I'm like, you sure? He's like, yeah, since you've trailered before. And he pulls a boat to like Pennsylvania like every other weekend. He's like, well, that's a boat. This is a car. I'm like, yeah. And there was only one time that I was a little nervous to where, you know how sometimes when you come up to a light and it turns yellow right at the point where you're like, maybe I should stop, but maybe I shouldn't stop. And then you, between that decision of maybe or maybe not, you decide to stop, and it was like kind of too late, but you stopped anyway. And then you're like a little bit in the intersection. Well, that was me.
Does the trailer have surge brakes or electric
Trailer has surge brakes. And the car moved a little bit, but it was good. All good.
On.
Safe. And the more importantly, the reason why I stopped is because Montgomery County has a ton of red light cameras.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the SUV would have gone through, but the rest of the trailer probably wouldn't have.
Yeah, they take 2 pics, I think, right? One
Yeah.
to see when you're going through, and then another to see if you've gone all the way through.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
Hopefully you're all good.
I'm good because
Yeah.
I was just, the nose was just a little
Yeah.
bit into the intersection, but I stopped.
So what I got to do was on Sunday, when I thought my Ravens were going to win the game, and
I heard about
was
that.
so confident
Oh,
that
God, don't get into sports
I
now.
went at lunchtime, and I said, you know what, I'm going to get the oil change started on the Z3, and of course the Ravens ended up getting they blew the whole lead, and
Didn't they have a lead up to like third
38
quarter
to
or something?
14. I don't even watch football. 38 to 14,
Yeah,
and then
it
they
was-
lost it.
it was
Fourth
just
quarter.
it was so sad. They were doing so well. Anyways, kudos to Miami for coming back. But I've been wanting to clean my headlights on the Z3. That
I've
is
been wanting to clean your headlights. because
230,000
I look at them
miles.
every day.
Yeah.
And I've done them before. And what I really cringe, and please, everyone listening out there, I see this on TikTok and Instagram. You know, the people that will take either lemon juice
Oh yeah.
and toothpaste,
Toothpaste.
or baking soda, and they're like, look, it cleans it up and it makes it look great. But they don't show you what it looks like a week later, or 2 days or 3 days later. They show you what it looks like afterward, like right then, and it looks great right then. But there's also people that tell you to put bug spray on it too.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Please don't do that. Spend the money. So I buy the Cerakote.
Cerakote.
Is the brand name. We're not. It's not a commercial. We're not getting money from them. I wish we were, but we're not.
But at Cerakote, if you're listening, you'd like to become a sponsor, please let us know.
I think it was $18 or $20 at Walmart,
Yeah.
but you can buy it pretty much anywhere if you look
Yeah.
it up. It's enough for two headlights, and now so these lights have been treated and failed a couple times over. So I wasn't expecting a whole lot. So I watched the video, and I got to say, it's one of the few times in my life where I've done something automotive that the video was exactly the way I did it. It
Yeah,
was like because there's always something that happens that they don't mention in the videos, and I've ranted about that. This was exactly like the video said.
It's pretty foolproof. So we have a video where we did the headlight restoration on my Cayenne with a couple of different products, and it was like, clean, wet sand, and then shoot clear over it, right? Like out of a rattle
Yes.
can. So that was
I've
probably
done
like
that before,
2
too.
years ago, and that works out pretty well. But if you're not careful, you can have runs, or the clear coat doesn't look all that great, and it's a little bit of a mess because you're using a paint can.
Wow, you look a lot younger back then.
That was only like 2 years ago, I think. Hush. What is this now that we're going
You
into
better heard
something?
it been like 12 years ago. Not,
First you called me
when
fat.
Boo was a girl.
So anyways, so fast forward to this new system of doing it. You're using the Cerakote. Now, actually, Griot's Garage I actually bought a set of Griot's Garage Headlight Restoration, which uses the same Cerakote technique. And I had done my my uncle's BMW headlights over like Christmas break or something like that with the Cerakote. Honestly, I was like really surprised at how clear and how nice and how easy it was to do, and how much less of a mess you
have you
make.
seen his headlights recently?
I did. So
How do they
I
look?
they're still pretty good. I
Okay,
mean, it's not like not
Honestly,
like
if they
new.
last a year, I would be
Oh,
thrilled.
you're definitely
It
gonna
says
get
2 years in the war.
You're gonna get a year. You're gonna get a year, and they look They look good. They look good. So I'm going to do a take 2 on the Cayenne, because the Cayenne has been 2 years and now they're also starting to get kind of foggy, and we'll use this new Cerakote method to share with you all. And for those of you that are listening, if you've used the Cerakote before on yours, let us know, how it looks, 6 months later, a year later.
That's really, to me, the test is how long.
6 months is fine. A year is fine too. But some of this stuff where you're just cleaning it off, like a week later, it's going to come back and look
all
good.
the stuff you hear, quick clean,
the key is you have to have some sort of coating after you've cleaned the plastic.
Toothpaste will work for 1 day.
For 1 day.
And then it starts oxidizing.
Yeah.
So, like I said, if this lasts a year, I can easily do $20 a year to have headlights that look almost brand new. And it's hard to impress with me, and I was very impressed with how easy it was. It was,
and this is where I think we confused you, because I said with the Cerakote kit, you get a wet nap. The applicator of the Cerakote is a wet nap, and Damon, you didn't know what a wet nap was.
Yeah, well, now that I know what a wet nap is.
Obviously,
I feel like I call it something
different. And the thing is, you eat a lot of barbecue, and that's like wet nap, like territory.
Not wet dream.
Yeah, exactly.
Manny.
Well,
what's a nap?
Manny.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. Yeah. No, I know what a wet nap is. I never use that word.
Heard that term.
I never use that term.
Okay,
so
got
I don't
it.
even know what term I use, but I don't see them very often, apparently.
Well, out west, they don't call it you want a bag with it when you buy something.
What did they say?
You want a, what was it? I forgot. First time I crossed Illinois when I was driving cross country, they asked me that, and I looked at them. I said, "A what?" And not a satchel, but like a what's another name for a bag?
There's a bunch of old guys trying to have a podcast, can't remember anything.
Yeah,
but I did. From that point on, all the way to California, that's what they would ask them instead of use the word bag. So maybe they don't use wet nap out west.
The first one to comment on the word that Manny's trying to think of.
What do they call paper bags or bags in convenience stores?
And the first one to comment, I'm going to send you a little gift. Help Manny out. What are the bags called after you pass the Mississippi?
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank.
He's drawing a blank.
Yeah, I thought it was so funny when they asked me that, because I never heard anybody.
It's like soda versus pop.
So anyways, Damon learned what a moist towelette was. I thought
towelette. There we go.
That you would have known
towelette.
if I had said towelette.
That's what I've used.
So Damon's more refined.
It'll be fun to see how long this.
I think wet nap is a brand. Maybe that's what it is.
You see, my Porsches are all kept inside. So actually, only one of them, the box, is the only thing that has the plastic headlights.
Yeah.
Obviously, the 914 and 964 use glass. And even the Suburban and the Infinities, they're not worn out like the BMW was.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's plastics. I mean, plastics age, and sitting outside, they're going to start to degrade.
So tomorrow I'm going to try out here. I'm going to bring the Boxer down. I'm going to try out the Cerakote trim.
Oh, for the black trim?
Yeah, I know.
That works.
Yeah, when we did the detailing Tactus slide, that was highly recommended.
Yeah.
So.
Yep, and it lasts a while too.
Yeah.
My other car little project, I didn't get to finish it, was the A-pillar on my E60 BMW. The fabric has kind of like gotten wavy, and I think just the glue is coming off, so I got to do that. And then of course I was riding in the Cayenne, and I looked in my rearview mirror, and I noticed the roof, because I had the windows down. It was a nice day out, and I noticed the ceiling of my my Cayenne was just blowing in the wind. So it's time for a headliner in the Cayenne, and I don't know how big of a job that is. I'm not worried about tackling it, because it comes out the rear liftgate, which is easier than say like a sedan or something. So I think I might tackle it on my own. I don't know. What do you guys suggest?
I get people asking a lot, especially for the Caymans.
Yeah.
Should
we do like a video on that? How to take down your headliner?
I've got a feeling that's something that's something I probably wouldn't try and tackle myself, just knowing my own abilities. That's because you get it wrong, and it's probably easy to get wrong.
You think so?
I mean, you got to. It's
stretching the fabric, making sure you don't pull it.
No, I
Like,
don't think you
feel
stretch it. I don't think you stretch it. I think on a Cayenne, there's a board.
There's a board.
Once you pull the board out, then you're laying the fabric. And I was talking with Ron earlier. Like, I might do half. Like, I might just take the headliner out myself, and then take the headliner to a upholstery place and have them actually put the headliner on the board.
Yeah, that's probably the way to do
then
it.
Reapplying adhesive, or
what's that?
do they reapply adhesive? Is that why it's sagging because adhesive is?
I don't think it's the adhesive. I think the foam that attaches to the fabric is let go. So I think the foam is still attached to the board as the fabric is released from the foam. I think that's the case. But regardless, it's, I think it's new material, new adhesive, and you put it on. But I don't know. We'll see. It depends on time,
Yeah.
none of which we have.
Yeah.
That's your next 6 weeks.
Yeah, I know, right? All right, let's get into Porsche news. Of course, by the time this is out, we should be well into the
is when the IPO is supposed to go on sale.
IPO. And what was it, 75 billion now there?
That's what they're.
Yeah, they announced on Sunday they're aiming for $75 billion or euros, but I think the euros and the dollars
about the
right
same
now are
now.
about the same. So less than the 85, I think, that some people were hoping for, but more than what some other low estimates were. So right in the middle.
It'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, I honestly I don't even know what to expect or how this will change our world, but it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
I think the Porsche family will be richer after the 28th. I won't, but they will.
All right, you want to talk about the 963 at Daytona?
So what was interesting, the 963 tested at Daytona a few weeks ago, but I was reading this article and I shared it with Jim too. Last we heard, Porsche had said they were not going to race this at Bahrain or Petit Le Mans. So we had theorized maybe they would test it there, but they are. It says in this article they're going to race it, but not for overall win at Bahrain.
Yeah, they told us that they were seriously considering Bahrain as a race before the end of the year.
So they did this at Petit Le Mans back when they had the 911 GT3RH. Remember the one we saw in DC with Patrick Long?
Is that the hybrid
The
one
hybrid,
with the
GT3R
wheel, the
hybrid,
KERS,
yep.
the KERS system?
The KERS system. And so basically what they did was they ran in an exhibition class, and they did a lot of extended pit stops, testing things. So they weren't going for an overall win or I even think class win. So they may do the same thing with this 963, is just run it in the race to get
Research,
seat time and information. But that makes me question, then why won't they do that Petit Le Mans? Because of the previous news that Penske said that his Mannheim dealership would be running the European races with their 963, and the North Carolina shop would run the U.S. races. So I would think the North Carolina shop would want to be able to run it at Petit Le Mans also to get data. If they're both running independently, they're not necessarily going to be one team crew chief running both of them. So
because they would need the data too.
I still hold out hope that they may show up at Petit Le Mans.
Cool. I saw. Did I send this to you or did you send it to me about the
No,
recent
I sent
recall?
out to run a show. You never look at it. Otherwise, you would have seen that I already had this on there.
Thanks, Manny. So we're talking about the
Big
headlight
recall.
headlight recall.
Anytime there's a recall, the news loves to, with Porsche, the news loves to put that in big
But it doesn't
letters.
sound like a big deal, though.
It's like the cap on the adjustment mechanism for the headlights.
Yeah.
Evidently, somebody along the assembly line must have forgot to restock them when they were coming down the assembly line, and they're recalling 200,000 of them. That doesn't mean 200,000 of them are missing caps. They just want to bring them back to the dealers to make sure the
They
caps,
have caps.
over there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if they aren't, they'll just pop caps up on there.
Yeah.
They're just afraid, I guess, that someone's going to be sticking their hand down there and accidentally readjust the headlight. So
Yeah. So
that's
no
probably
big
the
deal.
kind of recall Porsche loves to hear about because it's so minor that it's not a big deal.
And then for those that are into EVs and wondering what's going on with the EV world at Porsche after the Taycan, here we're talking about the Macan spy shot, right?
Yeah, we know the Macan's going electric. But what's interesting about the spy shot is that it has some flare extensions, I guess I could call them. Obviously, Porsche knows people are taking photos of them. It's nothing new at the Nürburgring. But these flare extensions
It looks bigger.
are actually further down on the screen, I think, is is where the flare extensions are. They're like white. They didn't even try to hide them. I don't know.
And then also, does the tail look more coupe-like than?
Yes.
It looks like almost the sport coupe version of a Macan.
Yeah, I think they'll sell every one they make.
They will, of course, they will.
It'll be it's already their popular car. I think in the world of EVs, it'll be one of their best sellers.
Yeah, the headlights have changed. They look a lot more like the Taycons, don't they?
Yep. All right, well, let's move into upcoming events. We've got the Audrain. PCA is going to have a display of about 25 cars at the Audrain Gathering during Audrain Motor Week. That'll be October 29th, I believe that Friday is.
Yeah.
Is that right? October 29th. So for those of you that will be there, I'll see you there. Then all else is on Unstock November 13th at West Coast Customs in Burbank, California. Then right after that, we have the LA Auto Show, where we will have coffee and cars. We will be on the Porsche floor and have all sorts of access to the cars, have some presentations, have a cup of joe or two.
Basically, we have the place. That's what the breakfast isn't nearly as important
It's not.
as having access to these cars, because if you haven't done this and you're thinking about going to the LA Auto Show, this is the same price as a regular ticket. That's all that Porsche charges. You're not paying anything extra. But you have access to get inside these cars, to sit in them, to talk to the product specialists. Because when those doors open to the public,
Lockdown.
We know it's time to open, because we see the Porsche personnel locking all the doors on all the cars, because they know once the public opens up, they're not going to be opening the.
And your ticket
up.
to that event gets you into the rest of the auto show. So you can walk around afterwards.
It's a great bang for the buck for the ticket.
And part of that weekend, we have some good news that Tech Tactics West is on.
Yes.
That was touch and go there for a little bit, whether or not we were going to have a Tech Tactics West. Good news is that we are. We are still, that'll be November 19th and 20th. We are still finalizing the exact location, but it will be in the Southern California area, and stay tuned. You'll hear about it here on Porsche Club Insider, as well as check eBrake and the website and such. All right, you want to talk about the latest videos, Damon?
Yeah. So still have a ton of videos that we need to get through. We're supposed to have the GT2 RS video this past Saturday, but by the time you hear this, that will be up. We ran the Bahama Mama 1 mile review, which is owned by the Works Union's official artist, Kelly Telfer, was a former totally original Brumos collection car. Watch that now. And then by now, GT2 RS, that will be up. A few more that we have coming up is a Cayenne Turbo GT in-depth and 1 mile review. The in-depth will likely come first. We have a Macan GTS review by one of our correspondents, Laura Burstein, that'll be running in the next couple weeks. And now we're getting around to 996 water pump, Macan S spark plugs, and we also have a 992 GT3 versus GT3 touring comparison that will be coming up in the next month as well. And I can't forget Carrera Cup USA is also an upcoming 1 mile review, which is probably a highlight when it comes to 1 mile reviews.
I was about to say, what car is that? And then I remember this is the 964.
Yeah.
I was thinking about the 992 Carrera Cup. I'm like, what the is that?
Yeah, the owner texted me, hey, when's the review going up? I'm like, it's soon.
Yeah.
We've got so many, to work through, and we're slowly making that list a little bit smaller.
So in the past couple of 1 mile reviews, we've added the fourth element. Mm-hmm. So for those of you that have watched the 1 mile review, let us know if you like the fact that we had the fun factor element added to the reviews.
Yeah, no, it definitely balances out, cars that might not do great at a car show. Maybe it looks like just any old Porsche, maybe it's not a great daily driver, road tripper, but it is really fun to drive. Mm-hmm. Some of the cars we did beforehand might have scored a little bit higher overall, but we're giving cars going forward their due.
All right, gentlemen, anything else? before we sign off. So, folks, thanks for listening. I can't believe that hour went by really, really quickly.
Yeah, a lot of information.
A lot of stuff. And I look forward to chatting with you next time from Germany. If you aren't currently a PCA member and you own a Porsche, grab that VIN, head to PCA.org, and we'll get you set up as a new PCA member. If you're looking for your Porsche, join our test drive program. Again, just go to the website and follow all the links. Remember to follow our podcast Instagram page, see behind-the-scenes photos and videos, Porsche Club Insider, all one word. And you can always email us at podcast@pca.org. Until then, I'll see you later. Stay safe, and we'll catch you next time.